This program is proudly brought to you by Puma Energy and proudly supported by BSB, official sponsor of the 2015 Pacific Games, and New Guinea, exclusive carrier for the 2015 Pacific Games, and Coral Sea Hotels, preferred accommodation provider of the 2015 Pacific Games. Good evening and welcome to Road to Port Moresby 2015. Now in this final episode of 2014, we highlight the readiness of the athletics contingent for the 2015 Pacific Games as we journey up to the National Sporting Institute in Goroka, and we speak with Tom Frost and Aaron Alsop, High Performance Manager of the High Performance Training Center here in the nation's capital. But first, traveling along the Hiritano Highway to the Mekeo district in the Central Province, where boxer Charlie Keama Jr. resides in the small village of Eboa. We catch up with his parents Charles and Clotilde. Here's their son's story on becoming a rising star.
Born Charles Keama Jr. to parents Clotilde and Charles Sr., the 21-year-old hails from Eboa village in the Mekeo district of Central Province, 2.5 hours by road from Port Moresby city. Sitting casually in front of his house, Charlie displays obvious humility for a person in a physical sport where ego can play a role in success. Charlie is a villager, and life in a rural outskirt is not easy. There is no running electricity or running water supply. Buckets and generators are the norm. But all these aside, for Charlie, this is home.
Sebelah time biasa kalau bus naksim wara, padu bisa naksim time nogat pawa nawara tu planti lain naksim lay naksim wara am lahad lo naksim wara.
His family has played a key role in his life. The resemblance between him and his father Charles clear.
Well, I believe that through me or as a sports family, I knew that he's grown up with a sporting family. So I knew that he's going to come up with something like this in his future.
His father, however, wasn't too excited on the prospect of his son always being out boxing.
Many of young boys, when they just go out there and then without discipline, they go out drinking, drugs, marijuana, something like that. That's the main point. He worries me not to go out with the youths to go out anywhere. That makes me worry about him.
But there is no doubt the pride that Charles has for his young son.
I feel very happy about him, and I was very proud of him because he just traveled out from the local village, as like where I am, and then he just went as far as represented the country. So I was very happy and proud of him when he was out that battlefield.
Yeah, well, he's going to have to make his mind up. Is he strong enough to stand his ground? If not, then where do you want to move?
His mother Clotilde has also been proud of her son, like any mother would. And with her quiet manner, it is also clear to see how that has passed on to her son.
He used to favor that when he prays, he used to tell me, pray for me, use this. When I go around, travel around, he used this and pray for us.
Another big influence on his life has also been his father's younger sister, Anne. The former nun has given Charlie a lot of spiritual guidance throughout his life.
You know, once a boy grows up, he's separated from the family, the auntie and the sisters. But
I could feel that this boy was really something I could sense in him. And many of my times I spend with him is, just tell him what is to be good and what is right out there. It's not just in the village or in Port Moresby, but how he can achieve something. Once he picked up becoming a good boxer, then I used to tell him, this could be a way out for you to be, somebody who can have a broad mind. You can do something for yourself and for the people.
In a touching moment, she recalls the memory of a 4-year-old boy raising his fists.
He was a very simple boy. He comes down, he gets a small pot, cooks for the boo-boo to feed him, be feeded in time before the family come back. And, these are the kind of things he's been doing. He's a very simple boy.
School was a struggle for Charlie, although not in terms of discipline. His focus had always been on boxing.
Vista po tayo family, kasi mo, especially pops, I'm less lo boxing. I'm talking lo join him school na. Me struggle na me ko boxing. Every time I go training na sa kabay team.
You can feel mo siya yung sa atlilig. Saan ba tayo sa bela? Charlie started fighting at the age of 10, winning his first bout after forcing himself to join in a local competition. His local coach, Alphon Effie, recounts Charlie's first bout.
But actually after weighing, I saw him. He was a very little kid that I hope that he's not going to have a chance to play. But somehow I asked the tournament directors about the little ones, and they said they'll be playing at cadet category, which is 31 kilos. So he was willing to play, so he was not weighted to 31. He was weighing 27, so he put a lot of a stone to weigh him up to 31. So that was what he did on the first day, and he lost. So I saw his appearance and I really love him, so I took him. I took him and I told him, besides your education, I'll train you to be a boxer.
The Arafura Games were Charlie's first experiences overseas, reaching the semi-finals in his first ever international competition.
Sila biblagol Arafura, all making presentation, mixing bronze, Jack William Silva, Malaysia gold.
The Commonwealth Games was also a huge boost in his career. The medallion given by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, a highlight bigger than his fight itself.
It's unanimous, and it goes to Kiyama, and I think he's in industry as much as anything winning the day. Yeah, maybe, too little, too late, and maybe the judges didn't like the dipping down to the canvas and stuff like that. The referee didn't punish him for it, but maybe he gave the judges the wrong impression. And I mean, it was in the last minute or so of the last round he came to life. Up to that point he still looked as though his heart wasn't in it. So at least all through the 9 minutes Kiyama wanted to be there. So we would complain about him moving on. The arm is raised, there is a blown kiss.
That's the very aim. I'm really happy about this, and then in his near future. Because as long as he came out of the village, the family, the province, and then representing the country as a whole, so I'm very, very proud of him.
The next big challenge is, of course, the Pacific Games in July. And for Charlie Keyama, the young boxer from Eboa village, it is time to go for glory.
While the deadline for final selections draw near as the 4th of July is just 7 months away, The athletics contingent is heading into their final stages of trials with a mixture of young, fresh talent from the PNG Games and senior athletes with the likes of Betty Burua, Toya Whistle and Debono Paraka. Here's a look at their preparations in progress. The BSP6 PNG Games created the perfect avenue for selections to trial for the 2015 Pacific Games. With a variety of potentials on display for athletics, a 55 men and women's squad was selected to train at the National Sporting Institute in Gorica just 2 weeks after the PNG Games. Coaching under athletics expert Philip Newton in Sharon Hannon's absence, the training squad was a mixture of both young and elite athletes.
During the PNG Games, the coaches and the selectors have picked some talents, new talents, and they're here. And the basic idea of this camp is to improve on their skills and technique in whatever events they're doing, because we have sprinters, we have hurdlers, jumpers.
The training camp will give athletes a chance at upskilling themselves, while coaches will have the opportunity to identify athletes worthy to represent the athletics contingent for Team PNG.
We see this athletics as one of the prospect medal for the Pacific Games. So we are supporting it in two different ways. Funding from the PNG Sports Foundation through our CEO, and also we have provided the institute as an ideal place to come and train.
A number of youngsters within the camp and most likely to make the cut was Robson Yinambe. Yinambe is from the New Island province and pursued his interest in athletics at 20, and in just 2 years has achieved quite a lot in a short space of time.
Usually we train, like some days we train 3 times a day, and it doesn't matter, we do much in a day, like wake up in the morning, training, then have something like snacks, morning tea, then sometimes we train at 1, and then in the afternoon, and like just training, recover during this 2 hours recovery, then training, and we didn't do much. Yep.
This camp has been the first for many and a privilege for some. From the Chembu province, training along the highway, disadvantaged with no proper training tracks nor facilities, long-distance runner Simbai Kespa has found this camp of great value to his individual development as an athlete.
Back home in Chembu, I used to do a little bit of training, like in the morning I run 30 minutes to 40 minutes jog, but here it's different from at home. Here we have a coach from Australia, Peter Dean, came here and gave us the good training, and we are enjoying the training camp in NSI.
The risk with taking new athletes has impediments on the team's overall performance. Former athletic great and a member of the Fantastic Four that ran in the 4x100 meter sprints, winning gold for Papua New Guinea at the 1991 Pacific Games, Subul Babo hopes to see the athletics contingent recite the victory and success from the 91 Games, and sharing his experience with the team might just push them to doing that.
Just over 200 meters to go, and it's Tuna in front with Babo and Dana Kamakama and Drew. 250 meters to go, the Papua New Guineans are making their move. It's Subul Babo and Takale Tuna coming on the bend, but here comes Babo Duama on the inside lane. Takale Tuna and Subul Babo hit the front. It's 70 meters to go. Papua New Guinea got to be 1, 2, 3. Subul Babo, Takale Tuna, they're coming down to 20 minutes to go. Here comes Babo Duama, but it's Subul Babo going to take the gold medal. Takale Tuna second, Babo Duama. PNG 1, 2, 3.
Well, actually, I'm really happy with the coaching career that I'm taking, and hopefully the workload that we are giving the kids and the encouragement that I am giving them, hopefully they can do better than what I did in 1991. am confident with I'm with the sprints, and by looking at the kids I'm training, I think we have a chance. We have a chance against our rivals from the Pacific.
Subul Babo, however, is not the only one backing the team to do well. Philip Newton is also behind the team, pushing them to be the strongest medal contenders for Papua New Guinea.
This group, we only identified them last year, and we only have until July next year, so getting their strength levels up to the point where they can do really good performances is going to be a challenge. Technically they're improving, and we know their performances are improving. Getting to gold medal position may be a problem, but some of them are showing even now. They're right up there at medal performances from the last games now. We just have to keep that going so it becomes a gold medal performance at next games.
The training camp at Gorkha was the first of many training preparations to come for the athletics contingent. Prior to the 2015 Pacific Games, selected athletes will be attending tournaments and sprint meets abroad, while the national championships are expected to be held in Leh in April next year, in which the final athletics team will then be selected and formalized. Now, athletes aren't the only ones gearing up for the 2015 Pacific Games. The High Performance Training Centre, situated in the heart of Port Moresby, has a heavy responsibility in ensuring athletes, coaches and medical staff are ready for what lays ahead of them in 2015. In this segment, High Performance Manager Aaron Alsop chats about the organisation's roles and responsibilities. In the midst of the preparations leading up to the Games next year, the High Performance Training Centre has become an impartial component of athletes' preparations. While their role is solely on upskilling the athletes and coaches, their long-term focus is also on rebuilding the image of sports in Papua New Guinea. The High Performance Training Centre, funded by the national government and an initiative by the PNG Olympic Committee, holds a significant role in preparing the sporting body, coaching and medical staff in the lead up to next year. The 2015 Games will be Papua New Guinea's golden opportunity to showcase their sporting capabilities with the soon-to-be state-of-the-art facilities, which should then place Papua New Guinea on a much higher sporting platform.
We're actually benefiting more from the program because it's not just the training. The lack of domestic competition that we have at the moment in PNG is something that we're working on, and so it's not just the training opportunities that they get, it's actually the competition opportunities that they get when they're overseas. We know someone like a Toya Whistle, who's based on the Gold Coast, without the access to obviously good facilities and great coaching, but the opportunity to work with other elite athletes that are at her level and in a competition environment is really important for her development.
The HPTC focuses on delivering professional programs for athletes. Apart from that, their services also vary from strength and conditioning to rehabilitation, physiotherapy, education and more. High Performance Manager Aaron Alsop said he was in absolute awe of the talent and potential PNG has in the lead up to the 2015 Pacific Games.
It's just phenomenal. I mean, we have the talent, but the word talent or potential is scary in the fact that it's only potential if you know then how to transform that into performance. We have across the border, across all of the sports, we have the right athletes.
While there lays an enormous amount of untapped talent and potential in the country, the HPTC's challenge is developing that potential over a set period of time. In their efforts to develop athletes and sport in the country, the HPTC currently has a coaching team of 12 performance coaches. Dick Atoa, as performance coach coordinator, leads the coaching operations behind the scenes.
Yeah, Dick is our performance coach coordinator, so she's in charge of looking after our performance coaches and make sure they're on the right track. We have about a team of about 10 to 12 sports coaches, performance coaches. Then we've got a whole range of team that look after our rehab. So we've got a physiotherapist coming up next year. We've got massage therapists. We'll be bringing in counsellors and all of those sort of things as well.
With over 1,000 athletes across 28 sports training under the HPTC's regime, the country still lacks domestic competitions, which have forced many athletes abroad for exposure and experience. What many codes have been lacking, and the HPTC aims to address and better over time, is improving the standards of strength and conditioning training. Head athlete performance coach Tom Frost confirmed that this has been their most challenging element of upskilling athletes.
We just work pretty basic in the way that we run our strength and conditioning up here. When we came into country, the level was really quite low, so for us it's all about establishing a base first of all. We've got to test the athletes so we see where they're falling short at the time. We start with some stability work to correct imbalances and things like that. From there we'll step up and make them stronger, hopefully through their functional movements, and then we make them powerful. So that's our order. We don't want to break them.
With the sporting infrastructures being of great benefit to the country, the upskilling and training of coaches and medical staff will assist the sporting fraternity in doing things never done before in the country.
Now working across all of the different sports, it's pretty amazing to think what a country of 8 million people could do. We just need to continue to ensure that we deliver professional programs to support the athlete and not it just be about something that's a short-term process of just initially for the games. We know it takes a long time to develop the talent, but I believe results from the Commonwealth Games in 2018 and beyond are really going to show what PNG is like at a world stage.
There will be coaching conferences held within the next few months as a lead-up to the Games, whereby all coaching staff will have first-hand information and experience on expectations and procedures to follow come the 4th of July.
Yeah, so the coaching conference on the 10th and 11th of January will be, it's a great opportunity to get all of our coaches and managers from the national federations together. We held one back in June of this year. First time ever in country that they've had all of the coaches and managers come together. We'll be covering some functional stuff in terms of how we're going to go about the Pacific Games next year, just to make sure that the coaches and managers are comfortable with it. Everything that we're doing here at the moment is leading us into that.
That's all for this evening on Road to Port Moresby 2015. Join me in a fortnight as we sit down with former Karate Kid and now one of the best sprinters, Nelson Stone, and his mother, and of course more updates on venues and other joint ventures with businesses supporting the Games. It's good night, have a pleasant evening and Happy New Year. This program was proudly brought to you by Puma Energy and proudly supported by BSB, official sponsor of the 2015 Pacific Games, and New Guinea, exclusive carrier for the 2015 Pacific Games, and Coral Sea Hotels, preferred accommodation provider of the 2015 Pacific Games.